Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, good morning, my dear Prabhus, dear Matajis. Thank you for joining our morning japa session. Again, that is 5:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning. If you wish to chant your rounds with us, you can log in and log out anytime, or you can chant the whole time with us. You would finish most probably your 16 rounds if you're chanting more or less 1.5 hours in a good pace. And welcome to our Monk in the Middle podcast, the study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are at 91st episode. Yeah, I wonder what we will do for the upcoming 100th. We'll have a some raffle or prize. So you know the drill, everyone. We should be in the right mood, the mood of request, the mood of humility, as we enter the realm of our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the nectar of the Vedas. So join me as we recite the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashta Priyashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So previously, that was yesterday, we were talking about Dharma and Dharini being consoled by Maharaj Yudhisthira. And Maharaj Yudhisthira actually, Maharaj Pariksit rather. Maharaj Pariksit is expertly giving consolidation to these two representation of Dharma and Earth. It is very hard for him to see an animal, which is the highest form of animal, according to Navadip Chandra Prabhu. This animal, the cows and the bulls, are their this is their last stage in the animal kingdom. After this, they will transform or move to a higher level of a living entity, which is a human being, and also they are considered as holy. That's why um, we call them the holy cow. Even all their body parts, even especially those who practice this in India, even their urine and cow dung are being used in different how do you call this, as a fertilizer, as a fire source of fire, and even purifying agent. So what happened was Kali, in the form and pretending as a king, is the one who is hurting Dharma or the bull, and cut off three of his legs. That is the pillars of religion. The four pillars are the cleanliness, the mercifulness, austerity, and truthfulness. And the first three actually is already cut off. And it welcomes the Kali Yuga. The four yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga. Each progress of yugas, one leg is cut off. So now, Satya Yuga's to finish, Treta Yuga's finish, and Dwapara Yuga is finished. What we have is the Kali Yuga, and the one leg is only standing on Dharma, which is truthfulness. But slowly also, it is being cut off. As we experience in our daily lives, not all are being truthful. So that is the remaining leg of religiosity, of religion, or Dharma in our age. Only truthfulness. The mercifulness, no, people are all, it's normal to eat meat. They're not merciful to the animals. They use animals only for their sense gratification. They kill animals for the tusk or the luxury leathers or for food. They destroy the forests, and the homes of the animals are being destroyed also just for what? Animal agriculture or so-called industrialization. The austerity, sense gratification is always there. Drugs, alcohol, and whatsoever. There's no austerity anymore. Always instant sense gratification. And what's the other one? austerity, mercifulness, cleanliness. Now, of course, we experience illicit connection. Um, in other places, it is being normalized to have intercourse outside marriage, and that is the destruction of cleanliness. It is being normal, even in the movies. It's been being normal to have this intercourse or scene where even a superhero scene, even a kids scene, kids movie, we will have this always intercourse. It helps them sell or market their movies or whatsoever product. So this cleanliness is not just for outside, also inside in the consciousness. It starts with the consciousness. The demoniac, it was mentioned in Ramayan. I was reading last night. The birth of the demoniac qualities starts with the consciousness. Then it will go out to the physical realm. Hello. I just want to greet first before we start reading. Hare Krishna, Noreen Mataji, Chandrika from China, Moksha Lakshmi Mataji, back to Rolly Prabhu, back to Oliver, back to Gail, back to Jonna, back to Nariza, and another Chinese devotee. I could not read Mandarin. Continue reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, creation. In this version, we are at the part 3. Also, our books coming from the BBT came last night. Later, we'll have a Facebook Live unboxing them, and we will post the new book sets and bundles for our students, of course, for everyone. And there are different sets and version, the bigger Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very exciting because those Bhagavatam, I think that is only 18 volume. This kind of version is 44 volumes. So if you wish to have the copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam, just let me know. We are at chapter 17, entitled Punishment and Reward of Kali. Text number 31. Translation. The king thus said, "We have inherited the fame of Arjuna. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself with folded hands, you need not fear for your life. But you cannot remain in my kingdom, for you are the friend of irreligion." Adharma or irreligion. So in the Sanskrit, usually they use a or a in the beginning or a prefix of a root word. So dharma, they will use adharma to define the opposite of that root word. Or karma, we have akarma or adharma. So what happened was Kali was so scared because Maharaj Pariksit is about to kill him. All that he did is punishable by death. And Maharaj Pariksit is the emperor at the same time a Kshatriya. He is the one, his duty is to protect those who are surrendered and obedient. At the same time, kill or punish those who are causing harm to others. And Kali personified dressed as a king in a black skin and pretending to be twice born, a Kshatriya, is the one causing the pain to Dharma. But Dharma is also so in a great quality, great character. That's why Maharaj Pariksit knew that he is Dharma. Because Dharma, or the bull, is not pointing any fingers to others. It's not blaming others. It is the quality that we want to develop in ourselves, the character, to not blame others in what's happening with us. We know Krishna is the cause of all causes, and part of it is coming from our desire. As Navadip Chandra is explaining yesterday, what's happening around us is because of our desire. This lifetime or previous lifetime, or previous lifetimes. So Kali is being is actually surrendering to Maharaj Pariksit. He wanted to for Maharaj Pariksit to spare his life. He dropped his sword, but of course, something has to be done. In the leadership, one should one should not punish those who don't have any like this. This is the scene. So Kali bent down to his knees and trying to surrender. So in the law of leadership in the spirituality, one should not punish those who don't have any sin or doesn't do anything, those who are innocent. And one should punish those who really did something. Because if one punish those who are innocent, karma will be given to the leaders. Those who will punish those who allowed it, the leaders, the emperors or the government, the king, everyone. It is a collective karma. It is affiliation of karma. If they did it, it will be their karma. They're punishing the innocent. And if they if they do not punish those who are really the culprit of the crime, those who cause harm to others, if they let them go, if they will just pay them and all, they will also have karmas. And also, it will create poison to the society because this person is being spared just because he is in a specific position, he is rich or he's famous. So that is the law of leadership in spirituality. But if the citizens, if those who are subordinate under his shelter, a leader who leads by example and also leads in a good character and qualities, if the subordinate are doing well, most specifically advancing spiritually, the leaders also takes the spiritual points or akarma, Krishna conscious benefits, or sometimes just good karma if they are doing material in a material realm, advancing in material realm. So this is the task and thankless task of a leader. It is very a responsibility which is not very easy. So Kali is surrendering to Maharaj Pariksit. Text number 32. Translation. If the personality of Kali, irreligion, is allowed to act as a man god or an executive head, certainly irreligious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound. So, it is being mentioned here, those who are personification of Kali, irreligion, if they are put in a position in leading a place, a country, a society, or even home, if one is leading a group of people with this kind of characteristic, much more if he is personification of Kali. And for the reflection in our practical sense, if a leader is in this kind of characteristic, this kind of what is mentioned here, greed, falsehood, robbery, etc., will be abound everywhere. If you have a wrong leader, the society will fall down. Sri Prabhupada mentioned here the principles of religion, namely what we mentioned a while ago, austerity, cleanliness, mercifulness, and truthfulness. These four. If the religious leader, the saintly kings, or a saintly lead, how to call it, in the government executive heads, are following this and propagating these four pillars of religion, it will be the counteract of Kali. Everything will change. How will they do that? It will be explained in a while. But of course, Sri Prabhupada mentioned here that one should not just stick to the dogmas of religion. If a religious group is not following these four pillars. It some of it is just coming doing some acts just to gain a lot of followers, but not following and propagating these four. It is just like dogmas, just following a certain group without any means, or what we call blind following the blind, because the one leading them are also blind, doesn't know what is the real spiritual practice, what is the real religious practice. Sticking to the dogmas and formulas without attaining the real principle is not good. So this is the real principle of religion, or just a group of spirituality. There will be no meaning to propaganda crying to stop corruption in the state. So if one is trying to fix a state, a group, or even a country, if this is not being propagated, these four pillars, corruption will be always there. They are very greedy, lustful. Um, they do robbery, treachery, cheating, because it is being allowed. It is being allowed. The what is being, how do you call this? This opposite of this four religion is being allowed. Later we'll discuss what are these four and what is the meaning of this. Text number 33. Therefore, O friend of irreligion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles for the satisfaction of the supreme personality of Godhead. So if the place is the atmosphere is mostly spiritual, sacrifices are being done. The fire sacrifice, the chanting of the holy name, the Sankirtan Yagna or sacrifices. If these are being done, Maharaj Yudhisthira is telling Kali, you do not belong here. But of course, Kali wants to take shelter. He wants to find a place where he could reside. Maharaj Yudhisthira is making boundaries where Kali could not come. So it was mentioned here, any place or country where the supremacy of the Lord is accepted and thus sacrifice is performed is called Brahma Varta. So this is a place where Krishna is being worshipped. So in our own little places, if you're living in your own houses, if you perform this kind of sacrifices, much more specifically the Sankirtan Yagna or the chanting of the holy name, it is being and considered as a Brahma Varta, a place of religiosity. And in this age of Kali, the greatest common formula of sacrifice is the Sankirtan Yagna. Kirtan is the chanting of the holy name, and San is congregational chanting. Much more if you are chanting together in a form of with music, instruments, or in the form of japa, or just chanting also with your mind. We should chant 24 hours a day. But we should chant with a minimum rounds in our japa malas. So take note of that. The rest of it, we should chant 24 hours a day. You could play in the background music, the chanting of Hare Krishna. Also the lectures, you can play lectures of Srila Prabhupada, your guru or your Siksha gurus. Should we always be there and playing in the background. In other places in Mayapur, they have speakers all around the property, and the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra is being played 24 hours a day. Mantras, bhajans, lectures. So even there's no people around, the other living entities are having the benefit. Even they don't have an actual ear. Even the trees, the vibration, the holy vibration of the chanting of Hare Krishna and the Krishna Katha, the stories about Krishna, the vibration is being spread, and all the living entities, even the insects, bacteria, and even the smallest, they will have the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya preached this method of yagna, and it is understood from this verse that the sacrificial method of Sankirtan yagna may be performed anywhere and everywhere in order to drive away the personality of Kali and save human society from falling prey to the influence of the age. And actually, this is delaying the influence of Kali, the chanting of Hare Krishna. If there's no chanting around the world, Kali will just devour everything. What's what we are experiencing now is just like a glimpse of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Everything will happen. Like what you can see, there will be pandemic. Then still, war will happen in a place in Israel, also in Palestine. Amidst the pandemic, this war is happening. Amidst the pandemic, the volcano is being a threat. And amidst the pandemic, different leaders are corrupting. So this is just a glimpse of Kali Yuga. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it was mentioned there, now those who are self-realized, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness and in their spirituality, they could see the future. And Vyasadeva saw the future, saw the Kali Yuga. That's why he compiled the Vedas in the forms of books. He wrote it. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended himself, Krishna and Srimati Radharani in combination descended in the form of a golden avatar or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of this Kali Yuga, this is very prominent, and they're very merciful. They gave us the formula to save ourselves and save humanity. That is the Sankirtan Yagna. The Sankirtan Yagna is the Yuga Dharma, or the process of self-realization in the Kali Yuga. Previously, we have sacrifices. We have in the Satya Yuga, we have the meditation that will take you in 10% of your life to meditate. During those times, they live 100,000 years and they meditate 10,000 years to perfect it. In our lifetime, it's 100 years maximum, or more or less, but 10% of it's 10 years. I don't know who can meditate 10 years without even moving, without eating. It's very difficult. Maybe some other yogis in the Himalayas are doing that. But it's not very easy, especially now. Even 10 minutes, you try. In the Dwapara Yuga, the process of self-realization is sacrifices. And sacrifices. Either sacrifices or deity worship, I forgot. So these sacrifices, you must have golden panipernalias, and it should not be used afterwards. It's just like disposable. And everything should be opulent. The brahmanas, the priests, should always be pure. The way they recite the mantras should be perfect. The metering, the intonation. If you recite the mantras imperfectly, it will have a different meaning and it will have a different effect. So a big sacrifice. And in the Dwapara Yuga, the Tetra Yuga and the Dwapara Yuga, the form is deity worship. And also this is very in high standard. The temple worship, deity worship. That's why you could see a lot of ancient temples are still being preserved. If you go to South India, I went there in Karnataka, in other places, you will see thousands or hundreds of years, almost 1,000 years, temples where they performed sacrifices. Until now, we are doing that. It's a big help for us to be able to have our senses be attached and dovetail to the worship of Krishna, because we don't have the spiritual eye to see Krishna. So that is, still we have temples in our ISKCON society. But the most advised form of self-realization is Sankirtan Yagna, or chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in this age. Not chanting on the main or on the plain voidism or blank or just light. We are personalists. We want to connect to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His name, chanting His name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is the form of sacrifice that is being advised in this age of Kali. It is easy because it is free. There's no qualification for you to have material qualification to chant Hare Krishna. Everyone could chant. We just have to go in that progress of spirituality, the Sraddha to Prema. We should do our Bhajana Kriya, and Anartha Nivriti will be Anartha Nivriti will be also part of the process, removing of the anarthas, removing or cleansing the heart, Cheto Darpanam, Marjanam, cleansing of the heart from all unwanted baggages, our previous karmas, the impressions. We have to cleanse and purify our hearts. Also, the association of devotees should be there. Then, the fixedness, the steadiness, the taste will be there. Afterwards, the bhava and the prema, the attachment in the form of love, the prema. So one is chanting not because Radhacharan told them so to finish their rounds every day, but they're chanting because they want and they need to be connected to Krishna. And Krishna invested all his energies in his holy names, in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So it is much more powerful than the demigods. And it's much powerful in other incarnation of Krishna. Because other incarnation of Krishna, some other percentage, just like Lord Vishnu, it is not full qualities of Krishna. I think 94% only. But the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, 100% of Krishna's energy is invested there. So when one is chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one is together with Krishna. And our process of Krishna consciousness is for one to be able to realize that we are always with Krishna. The goal and the process is the same. We chant for us to be able to relish and realize that Krishna, that his name that we are chanting is also Krishna. And when one is on that stage, he chants because he wants to. He can never leave. He could never let a day go by without the chanting of Hare Krishna. That is the Sankirtan Yagna. Very easy. Even the demigods actually, they descend here in material world if the Kali Yuga is there and the chanting of Hare Krishna is there. They give up their life in the heavenly planets and go back here in the material world to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Text number 34. Translation. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. So even if one worships Indra, Chandra, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Mother Saraswati, and other demigods, it is only Krishna who are giving the benefit to the worshipper. It might seem, it looks like the demigods are giving the benediction, but this is also coming from Krishna, and the worship to the demigods is indirectly also worshipping to Krishna, indirectly, not knowing the knowledge. Like what Krishna mentioned in the 9.23 in the Bhagavad Gita, translation, whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods or demigods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. So that's why the reason that we are studying this yoga philosophy, these scriptures, for us to be able to understand really what we are doing. Even if one worships material things, those are energies of Krishna, even money, Lakshmi. So one directly worship the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. So just like when one worships the ambassador of the king, we treat with all respect same as the king, those ambassadors. But we know the king is the king. But if we worship, give all our sacrifices to the ambassador alone without directing the worship to the king himself or giving the tax himself, it is just like paying money under the table because the ambassadors or other subordinate position from the king, that if you pay the tax, it will also go to the king. But if you go under the table, it's just very um, not in the process. Text number 35. Srila Sutta Goswami said, the personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Pariksit, began to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like Yamaraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows. Yamaraj is the superintendent of death. He is the one who will judge because he have the records in every little things that we did, good and bad. Knowingly or unknowingly, he have this record. When one dies, and unfortunately he have to visit Yamaraj, we will know whatever things that we done, even eating something that is not um, advised for us, unknowingly, knowingly. Even the things that that happen without our knowledge. We consume something, we bought something, and it happens to be a cause of suffering to others, other living entities, Mother Earth. We will reap all the seed that we sow. And Yamaraj is the superintendent of that. That's why Kali also is actually trembling in fear and praying to Maharaj Pariksit to spare his life. But he is surrendering to Maharaj Pariksit. So yes, the king or the executive head must be so strong as to stand before the personality of Kali, like the personality of that Yamaraj. The king, the king's order must be obeyed, otherwise the culprit's life is in risk. Why? If one spared a person who is very sinful, one is just allowing him to do a lot of sins, and will have another, uh, will have much more trouble in the future. So one have to stop it. One should be strong, just like Yamaraj, to give the punishment to those who needs to be punished, and not spare them, and not punish those who are innocent. Text number 36. O your majesty, this is Kali speaking. O your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall be I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. So Kali is actually praying for his life to be spared, at the same time asking for a place for him to stay. So it will not be everywhere, because the king could be seen with bow and arrow everywhere, because he is an actual good leader, the best leader that we have. Um, so when he sees, when he directed his vision everywhere, he could see the king, because the subordinates around the world is following King Pariksit. The process of religion is there, but his duty is to become the irreligion personified. So he's looking and finding shelter, asking the king, where should I reside? Therefore, or chief amongst the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. So medyo binobola, or is giving sweet words to the king, trying to please the king. Chief amongst the protector of religion. he is addressing marriage pariksit. Because, Sir Prabhupada mentioned, the king or a great executive head, a leader, should give protection or refrain from killing a person who surrendered unto him. If one surrendered unto you, of course, with genuinity, with um, full devotion, one should give protection. So Kali, from just in a personification of a religion, wanted to be on the other side, those who surrendered to the marriage pariksit. He's moroseful. He is actually um, not proud anymore. He's trying to be humble. A surrendered soul should be given all protection, even though he may be an enemy. So if an enemy asks for forgiveness and help, one uh, should give protection. And a good quality of a leader, he gives protection. Text number 38. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Pariksit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed. This is against the four religious principles, the truthfulness, austerity, mercifulness, and cleanliness. Opposite of it is the gambling that destroys the truthfulness. The drinking destroys the austerity, those intoxication. Prostitution destroys the cleanliness, being in an illicit connection. Animal slaughter destroys the mercifulness. So the opposite of religious principles is these four. And Maharaj Pariksit is saying that Kali, you can go to a place where these are performed. These four are performed. So look into your neighbors, your neighborhood. If these four irreligious activities are being performed, you can check out where the like a place in I grew up in that place, Pasay, Parañaque side, where there's a lot of gambling, prostitution, meat eating, and intoxication. These four being performed. But the only thing is, during the time of Maharaj Pariksit, it is not prominent to have these four irreligious things in the other places. It is actually being banned. There are someone who are doing this here and there, but very small places are you can see this place these activities. So this is the lowest stage of ignorance, who indulge in wine, women, flesh, and this associating with women on other opposite sex outside their marriage, much more doing the illicit connection. It's just like a lower stage of life. Now they want to for it to be normalized. You know, the new generation, they have the meme normalize such and such. It's like in India, there are rules that if you caught your wife having an intercourse with other men, one could not kill the man who is trying to steal your wife. It is actually an aggressor. Even in India, the religious principles and the scriptures are not being followed. Just for what? Trying to copy the Western civilization. And even all parts of the world, we want to copy the Western side of lifestyle. Not embracing the Eastern culture, which is actually the root cause of the culture around the world. But it is very degrading. Following the footsteps of Maharaj Pariksit, it is the duty of all executive heads of states to see that the principles of religion, namely austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, are established in the state, and that the principle of irreligion, namely pride, illicit female association or prostitution, intoxication, and falsity, are checked by all means. So it is the duty of leaders not to propagate this, but to check, counteract this. Because if this four is being prominent in a place, the process of a religion is flourishing. There are actually the state should follow these four actually. Srila Prabhupada mentioned not four. Yeah, this these guidelines. The state which wants to eradicate corruption by majority may introduce the principles of religion in the following manner: 2 compulsory fasting days in a month. So that's why we have Ekadasi fasting. It's a form of austerity. It gives economic point of view, um, also a give how to call it, a break, at the same time replenishing, and also it gives a lot of benefits for the health. And like if everyone fasts 2 days in a month, we will save a lot. Actually, we don't have scarcity of food. We have a lot of food that we consume, and the sickness, the illness that people have is over consumption of sugar, salty food, junk foods, and all. So if one does fasting at least 2 Ekadasi days in a month, it's a big benefit spiritually and materially. Another advice from Srila Prabhupada is there must be compulsory marriage of young boys and girls attaining the 24 years of age and 16 years of age. So this is like a Vedic style. It's not always applicable now because the people now are getting married just because of the lust and attraction. It is not always like that. Even in the practice of Krishna consciousness, they also check the astrological combination of the two, the compatibility. It is not 100%. The main thing is the partners should be Krishna conscious. If those partners are Krishna conscious, it will be flourishing the married life. Bakit and why it is being advised for in this age the women should be younger and early on, because it will remove the agitation of the senses and the mind because they're already fixed. Now it's a taboo for the fixed marriage. Of course, they do it just for money. They do it for the family, friends, and all. But the main thing is for one to be able to be stable and also Krishna conscious. If one is married early on, you would see and you would notice that those youths or people will not spend a lot of time and effort chasing women or chasing men. That is the lifestyle of people around the world now. They're doing these things to chase the love of their life. And it's not the purpose of human life. It's not only the purpose of human life to have a partner. Having a partner and not having a partner. And now people are being depressed because they don't have a partner. It is one of the ashram, Grihastha ashram, or being in the household life. And if one doesn't have this, because they're allowed to mingle and have illicit connection with others, so they're just enjoying sexual intercourse everywhere. And they will settle if they had uh, their partner pregnant. That's the trend now, and you can see the divorce rate is being exploding because of this kind of lifestyle, so-called liberation, so-called socialized person, um, so-called what do you call it? Free, practicing freedom, and so-called civilized man. But it's not always like that. One should be guided by the scriptures. And also, Prabhupada mentioned the Divorce Act is encouraging prostitution, and this should be abolished. And also, the citizenhood state must give the charity up to 50%, up to maximum 50%, because one should always support the propagation of Krishna consciousness. If one does not do so, one doesn't help or assist those who are propagating this Krishna consciousness. And they are consuming those who are practicing and supporting those who are practicing and promoting the four irreligious principle. They're just buying material stuff and all, and those money, that energy in a form of money, is diverted to those people who are propagating irreligious acts. So one should dedicate or percentage of his properties, income, charity to the brahmanas, to the temples, for them to be able to propagate Krishna consciousness more. Of course, one should give charity to those who are legitimate, genuine. In the Bhagavad Gita, we talk about charity in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. We should be in the mode of goodness, in the right place, the right time, right person, right purpose, right mood. Not in the mode of ignorance or the mode of passion. They should preach the principles of Bhagavatam. So these people that they give charity should teach the world the Bhagavatam. And also they will propagate the five angas. That five angas, or the five how do you call this, main activity in propagating and living a spiritual life. That's um, regular hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam, regular chanting of Krishna's name, worshipping of the deities, association of devotees, and living in the sacred space or the holy dam. If one is doing these four, automatically one is making their place, a holy dam. So these five angas should be propagated. Text number 39. The personality of Kali asks for something more. He's not satisfied. And because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold. Because wherever there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, loss, envy, enmity. This is the title of our class for today, talking about the gold. Because you would see actually where there is gold, these other four irreligious principles are there. The falsity, intoxication, loss, envy, and enmity. The wrong use of gold without the proper guidance of the scriptures, the teachers, a saintly person. It's very intoxicating. Money is intoxicating. That's why there is a what's the term there? Artificial currency. Originally, the currency of the people, the money that they have is gold. So they won't produce artificial money out of paper. They use gold coins. So whatever reserve you have, it is coming from that mineral gold. So that's what they use for exchange. The reason that they did this money in paper, so they could control the federal bank. You'll how they call it? For one to be able to have third world country, first world country, abuse other places and all. Because if one is rich with resources, they would have gold. But they could not, the rule is they could not print their own money if you are not allowed by those who are trying to control. And corruption is always there. So you could see if one is actually following the Srimad Bhagavatam, one could counteract this corruption, this abuse of power, this intoxicating use of money. You could see also those who are getting rich without their emotional wallet ready. Those who became rich instantly. You would see in the news those who won the lottery and all. They could easily burn all those money in few years or months because they don't know how to handle it. It is always intoxicating. No, like in the school, no one teaches you how to handle money. Especially if you give the money to those who are how do you call it, in the stage, the Sudra social class. They're not trained. If one gives this a large amount of money, one is actually inviting that to them. They will destroy their family. They will, they'll forget everything. they, they will be always intoxicated with women, with how do you call this? With gambling. They'll be always intoxicated with intoxications, drugs, and all because they could buy easily. And they will be intoxicated with false pride, the falsity, the pride, the false ego. Money is always intoxicating. You could see, I'm when I was younger, I'm always into bands, and I would see a lot of people in that kind of industry when they become famous. They lose their heads. They are best buddies when they started their bands, practicing in the garage, playing in a gig in the bar and all. And when they become rich and famous, they will always fight with each other. A lot of band um, is being has disbanded already. They have a lawsuit with each other because of what? They could not handle the fame, the money. That's why there is what you call the intoxication of in having a lot of golds. And of course, gold is the representative of these four religion. We would know in the succeeding in the following classes, even Maharaj Pariksit is became on or even Maharaj Pariksit became a victim of Kali because he is wearing a golden crown. Maharaj Pariksit himself. So that's why here the great leader should always standardize the gold, not just the artificial. Of course, I don't know if we could reverse the Kali in that kind of how they call it state, but it's always happening. There will be no need of anti-corruption ministry for another term of prostitution and falsity of purpose if these great leaders and also um, the gold is being used in the right way. Sir Prabhupada mentioned here. Instead of paper currency, actual gold coins should be used for exchange, and this will stop prostitution of gold. Gold ornaments for women may be allowed by control, not by quality, but by quantity. So it gives them satisfaction. This will discourage lust, envy, and enmity. When there is actual gold currency in the form of gold coins, the influence of gold is in producing falsity, prostitution, etc., will automatically cease. What is happening now is one is just reserving the gold. Those who are in the power. If this is being used as a form of exchange, it will be much more beneficial. Text number 40. Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Pariksit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places. So, 5 na siya, not just 4. Text number 41. Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above mentioned irreligious principles. So those leaders, religionists, sannyasis, the brahmanas, should not come in contact with these 5 because it's very dangerous. That's why you won't see a monk entering a gambling house unless they are trying to preach Krishna consciousness. They're distributing books. They're so merciful, but it's always dangerous. So the duty of those who are householder, the grihasta, mostly everyone, is to protect these brahmanas, these sannyasis, these kings, to be able for them to be exposed in these places. It's a process of downfall. Actually, they're doing a big role. That's why the grihasta should always give charity to the brahmanas. It is not for their own, how we call it, greed. the brahmanas, the sannyasis, the monks, even the leaders, they use this money just to maintain themselves, not to live luxuriously, just to maintain themselves, and also they will use it to propagate Krishna consciousness. That is the role. Um, the brahmanas are protecting the other social order, specifically those who are the household in the household life, in spirituality, in other way around. Those who are grihastas are maintaining the sannyasis, the brahmanas, and all. Even the leaders is in that position. So, in conclusion, for one to be able to counteract Kali, one should perform Sankirtan Yagna, spread the Krishna consciousness, spread the chanting of Hare Krishna. Much more easier, spread the books of Srila Prabhupada. If people are in touch with this knowledge in scriptures, one should have the change of heart, the revolution, spiritual revolution. And in numbers and in quality, the other places will be purified. If one is chanting, practicing Krishna consciousness in his own home, ratio of radius of around his place is being purified, having that vibration of the holy name. And having the Srimad Bhagavatam in your house is also inviting Krishna. So that is all for today. Thank you very much for listening. Be mindful of handling money and gold. Be mindful of these religious principles. Don't be don't associate with them much more if you needed to, but in general, don't associate with these irreligious acts, and have your association with pure devotees, most specifically Srila Prabhupada in the forms of books. After this pandemic, we will see each other in the temple. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Pariksit ki jai. Kali Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All glories to you, assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to you, assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to those who are watching in our Facebook Live. Our dear Kuya in the art scene, Neil Pasilan, Hare Krishna. Yana, Erin, and others. And also here, Bhakti Norin, Chandrika, Levi, Moksha, Lakshmi Mataji, Oliver Prabhu, Rolly Prabhu, Bhakti Gail, Risa, and others. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Bye. Levi.